There is a huge talk about till which college should I join DU, then after DU, these are the other alternatives. So, what do you think is the ranking within DU?
What you should choose will also depend on what is your next best option, because believe it or not, 70 to 80% students who come to even an undergraduate college in India, they come for placements.
I think in hindsight now, the brand value of SRCC plays a lot throughout your life.
People are doing things that you have not even thought of, and that will make you think to try something different.
So I think a lot of things that happen within Delhi University happens out of FOMO. So I can relate to it. So
This time we had around 300 plus companies that came into the college. That was also because the number of people that they took in was very less per company, which dropped drastically because of the recession and global events.
welcome viewers to another episode of Think Tank with Aman. Today's episode is all about Delhi University, life inside Delhi University, placements, opportunities there, and the MBA entrance examinations of CAT and GMAT, and much more. And we couldn't have asked for a better guest than him. He is a person who has successfully managed both academics and extracurriculars. He has studied from one of the best commerce colleges in the country, Sri Ram College of Commerce. He has cracked the entrance examinations of MBA, both CAT and GMAT, been the president of India's largest social student-led organization, an Auctus, and is now headed for a corporate stint at YCP Auctus. Let's welcome Raghav Goyal to the show. Welcome Raghav to the show.
Thank you, Anvia, for the nice and heavy introduction.
So how excited Raghav are you to be here?
It's my first time doing something like this. So excited to see how this works out, how I keep seeing podcasts regularly just to see how things like this happen and how a conversation happens. So I'm excited to discuss whatever we talked about with someone who had a similar experience, and we've also done the same things. So and I don't think we really got a chance to discuss these things after our school lives. So yeah, I think it will be a nice conversation.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. So I think firstly, let's talk about college life. So now the class 12 results have been out and people have been very, very confused about joining colleges, especially students, which college is the best. And people, I think hardly students think about multiple factors before choosing 3 years or before giving 3 years of their undergrad.
Right.
So what do you think? Let's imagine the scenario, had you not got into SRCC, which college would you have gone to? And had you any college preference list in mind before joining?
Obviously, I did have some preferences over which college do I want to get into, and it was mainly because of what environment I imagine myself to get into, and not really about the courses. So, I did not have a checklist sort of a stuff where I just scored colleges, but in my mind, naturally, I was just thinking about which are the colleges I want to get into, where will I get the best type of people who are like me, or not necessarily like me, but a variety of people who are trying to do different things, who are ambitious people. So, I think the most important factor someone should factor into before getting into any college is what is the environment there. It does not matter what course you are studying or which city it is in. But if the people that are there in that college, if they are very ambitious or they are always trying to do something better, something new, I think that is the most important thing, because you will naturally act like the way like your environment is. So just like your friend shape the way you are, I think it's a very big decision to take.
Definitely. I think it's rightly said also, a man is known by the company he keeps, and the environment plays a very, very pivotal role. And I read somewhere that if you are the smartest person in the room, then you should leave the room. But if you are amongst the people who are smarter than you, then definitely that is the place. But having said that, so let's imagine if you had not got into SRCC, let's imagine a hypothetical scenario.
Right.
So which college would you have taken, and like was there any list, like what are the list of colleges people should keep in mind?
Right. So everyone will have a different list depending on what they want to do. But for someone like me, I don't think there were other government colleges I targeted. If I don't count DU, yes, there were Hansraj, Hindu College. These two colleges that I had counted on. But if I don't count DU as being an alternative, then I think there will be only a few private colleges that you could target. So I was also thinking about getting into Ashoka,
Okay.
because economics was something that I was planning to do, and their curriculum and their faculty is very strong. But later on, since I got into SRC, did not go there. But I really thought that they do have a very good and new style of education that is missing in most of the colleges in India. They have a Western style of education, and just that the place that the college is located in is a little outskirts and things like that. But other private colleges like Narsi Munji, not necessarily Christ, but yeah, I think Narsi Munji, St. Xavier's, Calcutta, and Ashoka. I think these were the three colleges that I considered.
There is a huge talk about till which college should I join DU, then after DU, these are the other alternatives. So, what do you think is the ranking within DU, and till what college like a decent? I think it's very very subjective,
Right.
but people have a very very opinion. People have a lot of questions around this. So let's burst this elephant in the room.
I mean, what you should choose will also depend on what is your next best option. If say you are comparing Salesian College with the next best DU college, I think you should get into DU. Not only because this is Salesian College and it's in Siliguri, only because you get a better exposure there and there'll be a more variety of people. So it also depends on what is the other thing you will choose if you don't choose the next best college. But if say someone has a lot of options and say they do not get into the top three colleges, maybe Hansraj, Hindu, and SRCC. I'm talking about co-ed colleges here only. Otherwise, LSR also comes above. Stephens is also there. Then I think Ramjas does really well. I made a couple of friends there in Delhi, and I thought whatever discussions I had, I thought, yeah, they might not have the best of infrastructure, but just the type of people, they're not very different. If you go to any DU college, the type of people that are there, they are mostly the same. It is all about getting one more mark than the other, and it does not really change a lot. It is most of the faculty is good in all the DU colleges. So I think there's hardly any difference. But in the larger picture, just because maybe people at SRCC, there's a lot of cutthroat competition, and that pushes everyone to do better. It will be very difficult for someone to just sit down, be lazy, and not do anything. It will just because of what pressure there is because of the other people around you. So yeah, I mean, Ramjas would be there. Then Kirorimal College is something that I think that is good, and then I think Venkateshwar College. Apart from that, I would not really recommend someone to get into say Saraswati College, just because of the things that I've heard happening in the college. Because there's a lot of politics there. There's a lot of campaigning there. The election circuit is all handled through Saraswati College. So if someone really wants to do those things, then it's fine. So it's subjective, but yeah, I think Kirorimal College is the one that I would go to.
I think that's put rightly. Even when I had that thought process in mind, Kirorimal College was the last that was kept for DU. Otherwise, I would have taken some private colleges.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I don't think a lot of people have that in mind. People say that SRCC will go to DU, otherwise will not go to DU. So what is it inside SRCC that makes it so special, so unique? And people have ki SRCC was the life set. I don't think that's the case. But yeah, what is inside it that makes it so special?
I mean, there's a lot of hype around it as well. Not everything that you'll hear about SRCC will be necessarily true. But because I had a lot of brothers and seniors who had already gone to SRCC, most of those myths were already busted. So I did not go with any expectations. I knew that it is DU and it is not really actually what it is like. So I mean, just the aura of SRCC. So people go into colleges, commerce colleges, because they want a good placement, right? And companies try to get the best of talents. And because naturally companies will come to the best college and give the highest package to SRCC or say Stephens or LSR, naturally the demand for these colleges will be high. Because believe it or not, 70 to 80% students who come to even an undergraduate college in India, they come for placements. Yes, they want to do higher studies, but not before having good job experience. So because they're able to get a good decent package, which is much more than that they would get in any other college, they think that why not try it for an experience? You're already getting a big push into your career, and then maybe come back later. So just the good amount of placements that you get and the people. So most of the teachers that were there my professors that were there in my class, they were the ones who had written the book that they were teaching from. So just the thought of that is very surprising for someone who's getting into it in the first year. The accounts books that I was using in my class 11 and 12, T.S. Grewal, those were teachers who have taught in my college. So that will definitely have that vibe and give you that prestige that is needed.
That is definitely there. I think apart from that, two other factors which I felt was there. I think in hindsight now, the brand value of SRCC plays a lot throughout your life. No matter wherever I go, when I say the word, people assume that you have a certain aura, if you have a certain confidence, you have a certain style of doing things.
Yeah.
So that is something that will help you throughout your life. Apart from that, it's not just the best teachers or the infrastructure that is there. I think most of the colleges, even in India, which are currently opening up, have those. But just studying with the best minds from the country is something that makes it so different, because that, as I earlier said, when you are in a room full of good people, smart people, you tend to be the smart. So that is one thing that makes it so special.
Exactly. People are doing things that you have not even thought of, and that will make you think to try something different. I think that is the mantra for SRC success.
पर ठीक है, ये तो हो गया, पर लेट्स टॉक अबाउट सम ऑफ द मिथ्स एंड एक्सपेक्टेशन. आई वेंट विद अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपेक्टेशन. मेरा तो बहुत ही एक्सपेक्टेशन डाउन हुआ था कुछ एरिया में. व्हाट डू यू थिंक 2-3 एरियाज वेयर योर मिथ्स?
So, I mean, as I said, I did not have a lot of these myths because I did not have any expectations. But largely, I had a lot of friends who went with me to the college. So they had expectations that they would be attending classes and they would be learning a lot of stuff once they get into the class. And they are going into the best college in terms of academics, and everyone is very good at studies and everyone will be scoring very high marks. But once you get into SRC, you realize that majority of the students that are there, they're not there for the studies. There are a lot of reservations, there are a lot of sports facilities and all of that, and all of those things are things that should be considered, and those are good. And so it is not really only about academics. So people expect that in the class everyone will be raising their hands and giving the right answer, but you will go and you will find only 2 students in the class. So that is the reality of Delhi University, which is slowly changing. So by my 3rd year, there were strict rules that you will have to have 67% attendance. So it was really difficult to raise from 5% to 67% all of a sudden. That's a different story, but yeah, I think that's a myth, because people expect that they are going to the best college, they'll have world-class facility, and there'll be good fans, good amount of light and everything. So, but there are a lot of struggles. Like sometimes a class has to be conducted, but there's no class, empty class for a teacher. So these things happen when you're studying in a government college, and there are too many students vis-a-vis the number of classes. So I think these are some of the myths. Yeah, I think more or less.
आई थिंक एक और जो पीपल अ लॉट ऑफ स्कूल स्टूडेंट्स हैव दिस इन माइंडसेट कि एसआरसीसी हुआ तो लाइफ सेट हो जाएगा. आई थिंक द कंपटीशन जस्ट इंक्रीजेस मल्टीफोल्ड आफ्टर दैट, बिकॉज वंस यू आर देयर, you are just amongst the pool of bright students who are just giving you toxic, I would even say toxic at times, toxic and cutthroat competition. So that is a myth that was busted for me, definitely.
We are all just rats once you get into SRCC, so running behind.
So yeah, let's now talk about a 3-year life of a DU student. How do you picture, like, what happens? There's a typical story, like first year this something happens, second year, third year. So let us all describe and see how a 3-year student life of a Delhi University looks like.
Okay, I think most people, there are 2 extremes, and the second year is the one that is there in the midpoint. And
let's talk about the average person in general.
Right. Yeah. So the 2 extremes are like the first year and third year are extremes, and the second year is somewhat in the middle. First year is most of the DU students are only doing society work, and they'll do it as if their life depends on it, and they'll just give their heart and soul to it, because we are all given the picture that if we don't do this, we didn't do anything. And I think that is true to a certain extent, because I think societies are something that make what I think SRCC is. They're just at a different level, but just the way that we are made to believe that I am supposed to be working, say 8 hours, 10 hours to this, and we do not really see what is in there for us. We just work for it just because everyone else is also working for it. So I think that is what happens in the first year, and hanging around, just going into Hudson Lane, and I think that's the hub for every DU student. So I think that is what the first year looks like, just talking to a lot of people, working for your society, not really studying, and just hanging around and exploring as much as Delhi as possible. And once you get in the second year, I think that's where you find a middle point. You start studying a little because you become a little serious about your CGPA. There's an internship season coming, and then you also start thinking about your higher studies, about your placements and all. and some people also have a POR in their societies, and then they really have to work and manage these things. Otherwise, even if they don't have those things, most people get into a professional course by the second year. Someone is doing CFA, someone is doing CA, someone is doing FRM, and all those things. So I think the second year is sort of a middle ground, and it's the most challenging academically, because in the second year you're also preparing. Say if you're trying to do CAT, you're also preparing for that. So, and also the courses that we have, say econ or BCom honors, they're the most difficult in the second year. And once you get into third year, you don't have any of those society work. Most people don't have that. You're just trying to make the most of your college life now. You're just trying to spend more time in the college, hang around in the college, whether you have work or not, whether you have class or not. You turn up to the college just to hang around with your friends. And now you have a better grasp of your studies. You're trying to maintain your GPA or increase it wherever it is, and also preparing for your professional courses. And if you are already praised, then it's a little lighter for those people, but still they are still trying to do something better, try to get something more. So third year is a lot of interviews for a lot of people. For me, it was exactly that, just turning up for as many interviews as I can. I forgot to add, but the first year is also something no one should forget is, before you get into societies, you have to go through a very long and tedious process. Some societies have a process that lasts for a couple of months. For in Actus, we had a process that lasted for a couple of months, and really spent a lot of time in deciding every candidate. So these things are very serious, but you get a lot of experience giving interviews, because these people grill you, and they try to give you a taste of what corporate world will look like. So I think that's how the college life
I
looks
think
like.
that is perfectly summed up for every new student. I think for an average student, first year is about exploring the city, exploring and meeting new people, and deciding what societies to choose. Second year is about meeting what are their future goals, becoming a POR or pursuing professional course. And third is mostly about placements and the final year of your college, just enjoying life
Yeah.
inside the college. So now, after Delhi University or during Delhi University, you prepared for both CAT and GMAT.
Yeah.
Which exam did you give first, and what are the reasons for doing that?
Right. So I first prepared for CAT, and at that time, I was not really sure if I'll also be prepared for GMAT. I just wanted to do CAT for the time being, and I knew I will have a lot of time in my third year later to do GMAT, because you have a lot of flexibility with GMAT. So actually, I was very late in starting for CAT, because everyone around me, people who stayed with me at my flat, people who were there with me in the college, everyone actually prepares for 6 months on an average. Some people had started taking up times courses and these courses in the second year itself. So on the other hand, because I was with Enactus, I was not really supposed to do these things. So I thought, okay, I'll just start it at the end and give it all I can, right? So the exams are held in November. I decided by end of June that I'll be giving CAT, and so I started preparing in the first week of July. So this is one of those exams that I really enjoyed giving, and I can say this without irrespective of whatever result I would have got, right? So because the exam is such that there's no syllabus to it, you're just supposed to be practicing and enjoying these things, right? And because I had a group of people around me who were also doing the same things, so we used to sit together and just solve these things. And it is not I thought that CAT is not an exam which you really have to prepare in isolation. You just need to practice your mind, exercise your mind, think as much as you can. Just make sure your mind is sharp enough to catch those little things that others might miss. And time management. I think I really love the way the CAT is designed. I think because you have surplus of questions and you're not supposed to answer all of them. So people should know what is something that I should answer, what is something I should not answer. I think deciding or knowing what is something I cannot do is also very important, and that is something the CAT tests you on. That maybe GMAT does not, right? So in CAT you always have as many questions left as much as you have done. Even someone who will score 99.99 percentile will have such a rate, and I think that is the beauty. Just how there is a negative marking, just knowing that I should not take an attempt to this. So I think I really love the way CAT is designed.
But why CAT over GMAT, or like why did you choose CAT? Did you want to stay in
Right.
India, go to an Indian B school mostly? That was
Yeah.
the reason, or any something else?
So I mean, I make it a point to at least try for things, and maybe I'll decide later if I want to do it or not. Same thing happened with me at SRC and Stephens also. When I was trying to get in, I had decided not to think about Stephens until I got in. After I got in, I took one day and I decided. So same thing happened at CAT also. I decided I'll study for it. It's not that I have something very important otherwise to do. So I prepare well and then see. So I actually wanted to do MBA right after my college, and it would have been the best thing to do. I thought, and so that is the reason I did it. And if I done GMAT, I would have to do GMAT MBA 2 years after work experience. So just to cut short the time, and I'd heard that it's better that you finish your studies first and then get into work. Otherwise, you would not really want to get back into your studies after you've started working. So these were things that were suggested to me. So I thought, why not give it a shot? And I've also heard that it's better to give your CAT right after college, because you're still in the mood of studying. You're still in that process. Afterwards, you lose that sometimes. So that is the reason I did CAT first, and GMAT I did after my CAT results were out, and I had a couple of months of break. And then I thought, once someone has been able to crack down CAT or been able to understand what CAT is or decently done well, GMAT is not very difficult, because GMAT tests you on different things. GMAT has a limited number of questions. If someone is able to do the maths at CAT, someone can easily do the maths at GMAT, because people in India are generally better at maths, and that maths is something that's too simple. Say someone who's just finished class 10 can easily solve a GMAT maths paper, and I think English is something that is very challenging in GMAT. And yeah, I did not spend a lot of time in GMAT because I was not very inclined to go outside, or even I was not sure if I want to do an MBA through GMAT or should I just be giving a CAT. But I thought I'll at least give it a shot and then decide again. Something that I've always done. So that is the reason I gave GMAT, and I had a good result. So now I'll be just.
So I think a lot of things that happen within Delhi University happens out of FOMO. So I can relate to it. So at the third year, people are almost preparing for CAT and they want to get into MBA colleges right after that. So I might have a completely different opinion of work experience before an MBA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of DU students relate to this. So last point, just to end. So let's talk about the placement. So, as you earlier mentioned, that placements is the major objective of most of the students within a college for your undergrad, be it DU or outside DU.
Yeah.
So, what does an average package look like for an average DU student, for an average SRC student? What are the kind of companies that come to campus and the domains within which student gets placed?
Right. So just talk about the average package. I think we can talk about the top 10 percentile DU colleges. If we just talk about the overall DU college, it will be hard to give a figure. So if we talk about, say, Hansraj, Hindu, LSR, Stephens, SRCC, the average package would be somewhere around 7 to 8 lakhs at maximum. I think it will be close to 5.5, 6 lakhs.
Yeah.
Right. And for SRC this year, it was over 7.5 lakhs. So that's what the average package. The median package is somewhere around 8.5. So that is how the package is. I think a lot of companies come in. This time we had around 300 plus companies that came into the college. That was also because the number of people that they took in was very less per company, which dropped drastically because of the recession and global events. So that is why they had to get in a lot of companies to hire. But most people who wanted to get a placement got in. I was talking to someone from the placement cell at a college, and there was hardly anyone who wanted to get a placement and was not able to get an offer. They might not have got the offer of their liking, but they at least got an offer. So a lot of companies come in, and they are in a variety of fields. Earlier, there were a lot of consulting companies that used to come in. Nowadays, there are a lot of finance companies that turn up. There are FMCG companies. There are banks that come to. There are no Indian banks, but global banks that come for placements. FMCG, you have HUL, then you have Deutsche Banks, and a lot of good companies that maybe would not be coming up in other colleges. So when you talk about the MBBs, they only come to, say, Stephens, SRCC, and LSR. So these are some striking qualities that you'd get at SRCC, and something that makes us different or just gives you an extra opportunity. They might just end up hiring 7 to 8 people, but still someone got the opportunity to interview with them. So I think, yeah.
I think that is what makes it special. So, but how do you think does it? So, you might have friends in other colleges outside DU. So, how does the placement look in private colleges? I think they are also good enough. But I think the ROI at DU is, I think, more than 1,000%. I think we
Yeah.
spend hardly 50 to 1 lakh in the entire 3 years journey.
Yeah.
So for just an average package of 7 or 6 lakhs per se, it's also ROI of 1,000%. So what do you think about private colleges? Like, how are the placements in those companies? Do you have any idea, or like?
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends who are studying at private colleges, and I I figured that very few in private colleges are inclined towards placement, not as much as in say DU, right? But still, companies do go there, and it is not like a company would turn up to our college and to a private college and give different offers. The pay that they'll be giving is same, just that the number of companies that go there is much lesser, right? So. Finance companies go there, D-Shaw goes, Test Vista goes, and I've heard a lot of these companies where my friends are also placed. So I thought good companies go there, but yes, if you talk about averages and statistics, they're much lower when you compare it to say DU, because just because the bigger companies that give a higher pay, say someone like HUL which pays 35 lakhs per annum to an undergraduate, they would not go there to a private college, and it is simply because the talent that is available there and what they want and brand value. I think that plays into these things.
I think that is it, viewers. Thank you so much for watching and being there. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you so much, Raghav, for being here.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed this conversation.